Welcome to GeekastX.
Hey Geeks, today we have a very awesome guest. You may know him from many works ranging from various advertisings and movie things, and he does voice work for toys, games, but most people know him nowadays from the Screen Junkies Honest Trailers and Epic Voice Pranks. And he also has, you do the Epic Voice reviews on your own channel, correct?
Yes, I do.
Alright, welcome John Bailey, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Ray, I'll edit in a round of applause for you. Alright, so what's it? Tell us a little bit about your background. Like how long you said I know you've been voice acting for 5 years, right?
6 years, almost 7 now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 7 in February. It'll be 7 years. For a little over 4.5 of that, it'll be full time. I got started locally here in Memphis. Didn't know they had anything voiceover related in Memphis, so I mean it's well known for music and recording blues and jazz, stuff like that on the street.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as commercial voiceover, any kind of voice stuff, usually local commercials are recorded in studio with interns or just whoever works for the TV or the radio stations. And so I didn't really ever think about it. It's something I've been doing since I was 5. Been doing voices. I started with Grover and Mr. Rogers, and started doing Optimus Prime when I heard him, and Voltron first, and then Transformers. And just kind of something I was always able to do to either get in trouble or get out of trouble in school. And when I was a teenager, my brother introduced me to the Pablo Francisco stand-up comic that did the little tortilla sketch.
Huh.
And he's like, you could do this better than this guy. So I started working on my movie trailer voice, and started doing YouTube's 2007-ish, and just messing around doing some dubs, just Transformers cartoon dub stuff and sketch comedy stuff. I didn't really know what to do with YouTube at the time. Just wanted to upload stuff that I wanted to watch. Cool. And when my wife found a MySpace page she built for me while I was at work, and when she found a pop-up ad for a local studio looking for voice actors, and she's like, "Oh, you're great with voices, and you do voices really, really good. You should go try out for this." And I'm like, so the worst they can do is say no. So what do you got to lose? And that was totally true. It's only 15 minutes. I only lose like maybe 30 minutes of time and a little bit of gas, and that was pretty much it. So I went and tried out for them, and they loved me, and they signed me the following January, and by February 1st, they'd sent me my first audition, and within 11 days, I'd already booked a commercial campaign for Texas Steakhouse on the East Coast. It was like 4 TV commercials and 2 or 3 radio commercials, so it was like a pretty big, for a non-union guy, it was a pretty big check, and I was like, wow, I didn't know you could make this kind of money. And that was non-union money, so imagine what that would have been if it had been a Screen Actors Guild job. It would have been probably tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And I booked maybe
That's
one or two, sometimes 3 a month. Sometimes I never went a month without booking something, but I thought that was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still working full time at night. I was driving a forklift full time for 8 to 14 hours a night, and I was only doing auditions part time in the daytime. And I thought I was doing terrible because I was like, man, I should be booking something every day or every week. I mean, 1 to 3 times a month is terrible. Maybe I'm really bad at this job. And the producer there is like, dude, I have guys that have been here for 5 years and never have booked one single job. You're doing great. So I was like, oh, okay. And I just kind of winged it through my whole career. Never had any prior experience, voiceover training, coaching, anything like that. I'd done improv and sketch comedy, on stage stuff in school, in high school, and college, and that was pretty much it. That was the only background I really had. And when I made a video doing all my favorite movies, well, I call it my top 5 favorite movie trailer voices. It was really just the 5 that I could do really well. And I wrote a fake trailer for it where I could put all these different genre of movie trailer voices in the same video. And my first manager found it after Don LaFontaine passed away, and he was like, I would like to try you on some real movie trailers.
That's the Epic Movie Trailer guy?
Excuse me. Yeah, and he was...
the real one?
Yeah, he sent me 4 or 5 trailers to read for and I booked 3 of them, and they told me that they said this is more than anybody else has ever booked on their very first try, and I was like, wow, really? The whole thing felt kind of.
Do you remember what those first 3 were?
It was for Last Station, which is an Academy Award-winning movie, and Extraordinary Measures with Brendan Fraser and Harrison Ford.
Okay.
And I forget the third one. I can't remember the third one, but it was like 3 of those, and they were like, we're going to send you this money, and we need your Social Security, copy your driver's license, fill out this W-4, W-9, or W-9, and we need a bank account number so we can direct deposit this money to you, blah, blah, blah. And the whole thing felt like it was so good to be true that it felt like an identity theft scam. And I remember telling my wife that we should make a secondary account just in case they're trying to rob us, and the whole thing's not real. But when we got money, I was like, this is a legitimate deal. And my manager offered me a contract, and he doesn't normally manage voice actors. He runs the trailer company. But he said, I think you have a lot of raw potential. We just need to work with you a little bit to find like your own voice, because right now you're just imitating other movie trailer voices. And so he worked with me for a little over a year and a half. And Andy Signor, who created Honest Trailers back in the day with Phantom Menace, the first voiceover, there's been 3 other guys. 2 of them only did 1 each. There was one guy that did the very first one. Andy won't claim that it's him, but it sounds like him to me. It may not have been him, but he says it's not. And then there was this other guy who did about 12 or 13 of them, and then one different guy did it for Avatar, not the Airbender one, the Blue Monkey one. And so but totally, I don't think they did more than 15. There was only 15 that I did not do voices for. And their main guy got called into active service, so they're looking for a replacement, because he just wasn't going to be available. And he looked me up. He found the same exact video my manager found. He's like, oh, this guy's really good. And then he looked me up on my website, and I actually had, because by the time he'd seen me on my website, I'd been doing it for a little while, and I'd actually gotten better at it. And I actually had some work that I'd actually done. So I had samples of some trailers that I had actually done for television and radio. And he's like, oh, this guy's an actual movie trailer voice guy. That would be awesome to have somebody like that doing the Honest Trailers. It would give it a little bit more credibility. And so he called me up, and he emailed me. He's like, hey, have you ever heard of Honest Trailers? And we'd love to have you to work with you for these things. And I'm like, not really, but I'm pretty much down for anything. And I figured, it's the internet. Nobody's going to see this. And and it's entertainment business has changed and evolved where YouTube and streaming content has become the mainstream form of entertainment compared to television these days. So I was really surprised at how big it's gotten in just the last 2.5 years. I started with Lord of the Rings, and just finished up on another one for a really great movie that it will make you mad. That's the only hint I'm going to give you. The hint is the word mad. Anyways.
Okay. We won't say it, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
We started doing back when I first started working with them. After we'd done a few, maybe a dozen or so, I was like, why don't we do game trailers? Because video games are so cinematic these days. It would be pretty easy just to take cutscenes and make a video game trailer about how bad or how good a video game is. And they're like, we don't really have the audience for that. And I'm like, okay. And then a few months went by, and they're like, hey, we're going to do video game Honest Trailers. And I'm like, we don't really have the audience for that. At least that's what you said when it was my idea.
I actually just watched the Mass Effect one yesterday.
Yeah. They probably had tried to do it. They just didn't have a place to put them. So when they found the Defy Media has, it used to be Alloy Digital, I believe, and then they merged with somebody else, with Break.com, and to create Defy Media. So they absorbed as well Smosh Games and Smosh's channels and a bunch of other cool channels. So they had a place to put game stuff. So they started doing Honest Game Trailers on Smosh Games channel, and now we're doing one of each per week. Every Tuesday we do one movie, one game, and it's between the two of them I've done, I would say, getting close to 200 that I've worked on with them. Because when we started with the games, we started doing them more often. When we first started with the movies, we were only doing like once a month or once every other week. And when we started with the games, we started doing them more frequently. So the games have kind of caught up with the movies. So there's a lot of them out there. And I think the funny thing is I've never even included any of the Honest Trailer stuff with my actual professional voiceover work, because it's more me making fun of what I actually do in real life. as opposed to
Right.
an actual.
You don't want to make anyone mad.
Well, it's not that. It's just that I want to be taken seriously as a movie trailer voice, and I don't want them to hear the campy, cheesy version that I do for honest trailers and think, oh, he's a fake movie trailer guy. Because there's always that hesitation when people hear me in an actual trailer as opposed to an honest trailer. There's a big difference between the delivery. They're like not 100% sure it's me or not because it's that different. Could
you give us a little sample for to show the difference?
Okay, well, we did one for Saw. I always go, horror is the biggest difference that you can hear. When we did one for Saw, it's like the gore fest. It's just totally awesome. Blah blah blah. The voice is just a little cheesier and campier. But then when I actually work in a real movie, a real horror movie, it's Insidious Chapter 2, the most terrifying film since The Exorcist. And it's just that's just a subtle difference in how it's delivered.
Right? Yeah.
Where they're not
that is great.
And if you ever get bored and just want to watch a bunch of stuff that I worked on, JohnBaileyVO.com has like a ton of stuff that I worked on. Ignore the site; it looks like a junior high school student made it a long time ago. And I also have some playlists on my YouTube channel of different.
Do you want to go ahead and plug your site at all and social media you're on?
I prefer to plug my YouTube channel because there's a lot of good content. People don't know the channel's there.
Sure.
It's youtube.com/JON3PNT0 John 3.0. I review movies on Tuesdays, movies and TV shows, and then I do what I call imitation gaming on Thursdays, where I take a video game character or an actor or character playing their own game, or several different voices for a particular game. If there's a lot of voices I can imitate, so it's just a fun way of me showing how bad of a gamer I am, but how good I am at voices. And it's not as easy as people think, because it's a lot easier to concentrate on one or the other, but not both. So trying to do impressions while playing a game and trying to do a good job playing the game, it's not as easy as people assume it is. It's like, well, your voice is not 100% perfect. I'm like, well, I'm trying not to get killed. It's not as easy as it looks.
Right.
I have a question.
Anyways, yeah, and I do have some other content. Saturdays is kind of a random day. I'll do interviews with other voice actors, or I'll do voiceover tips, or I'll just do random vlog stuff, or little short sketch comedy stuff. So it's a little bit of just whatever I feel like doing on Saturday. And that's pretty much it. And you can hear me around. You'll hear me on TV right now. The Blacklist Season 2 Blu-ray trailer, the kid just came out. It's got my voice on it. There'll be a couple other things that I've worked on that'll be out pretty soon if they're not already out. And are always out. So
I was telling Sebastian, he's a huge Star Wars fan, and I mean we all are. Who isn't? And I was telling him how my nephew has a clone trooper helmet, and he has the voice on it. Yeah, I was like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah, I can play with myself legally, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Which are your favorite voices to do?
My favorite voices to do is probably Christopher Walken and Optimus Prime. It's just usually whatever makes people laugh or go, oh wow. I love getting good reactions from people, so those are always fun to do.
I have a question, just to kind of questions for you. Do you do any voice doubling for actors and trailers?
It's become the majority of my business is filling in for other actors.
Okay, because I saw on your site.
You can hear me in the American Ultra trailer right now. That's me doing John Leguizamo's voice. Hey, when you get drunk, get some booty in your face. Because apparently what he said was really, really bad, and they had to.
Cool. Okay.
So, I'm always filling in for other actors. I never know. Sometimes I don't even know until it comes out that I even finished on it or whatever. So, but I've literally done hundreds and hundreds of other actors' lines filling in for them in trailers. The one that usually blows people's mind is ever since Jeff Bridges did True Grit, his character hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
It's exactly the same. That was me and R.I.P.D. going, never seen that before. Not sure what kind of shit you would do.
Wow.
Yeah, just whatever they need me to fill in for. Usually it's one or two lines. Sometimes it's a little bit of a narration or, some background stuff. But, yeah, but it pays really good and it's super easy.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to start listening for you now that I know that.
Yeah, good luck. And when I found out how trailers kind of cut corners to either make the trailer make more sense or, or they add something to make it funny or whatever, it kind of blew my mind how things are, how things are done. And it's like almost ruined movie trailers and movies for me because I know how they make these things. It's the magic is gone. It's like when the magician explains how the magic trick is done, and it's like, that's not cool anymore.
Right. You peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Do you know any other voice actors in the industry, like out in California? Are you close with that?
Oh, yeah, I know tons of voice actors. Either we keep in contact online, or I see them out in L.A. or at conventions. We'll be a guest at the conventions together. Anytime I can, I go to the Hollywood Improv. Ralph Austin does this show once a month called Talking Tunes.
Okay.
Other voice actors there. But my agency, they represent a ton of awesome voice actors. And so I'll just randomly see somebody at the studio someday. You know, it's really, really cool. I had lunch with Tanya Gennady from Pen Zero, Part-Time Hero, last time I was in L.A., and got a Rob from Bob Joel's over to Defy from CSD because he's just that awesome of a guy. And you'll recognize his voice from Planet Sheen. He plays the ape, the chimpanzee. He also fills in for John Rice Davies a lot as Man Ray and SpongeBob, and also as Greetings, Explorers! Welcome to the Indiana Jones Adventure. He does that voice for Disneyland. They're really cool. Most of them are really cool. Just love to chat. I've actually got an interview with Bob. I was like, would you mind if I interviewed you while we're driving down the street? He's like, yeah, sure. We got a few minutes to kill. So I interviewed him in the car while I was there. Cool. I'm going to be throwing that up on YouTube pretty soon. So, because everybody's path is different. How they got into voiceover, sometimes it's a little similar, but it's always just a different way that it came about. Some of them just kind of happened into it. Some of them just really pursued it. Some of them were in radio first. Some of them were in theater first. Everybody's got a different story to tell, and it's always interesting to hear where they came from and the different things that they can do. And it's just really it's always the whole business is always fascinating. But, so I've got a ton of voice actors' phone numbers in my phone that would just freak you out if you knew that I had their personal numbers, but I never give those away.
I was just curious because you said you're on the East Coast here, and they're out in the West. If you were...
Yeah, I'm actually Central. I'm not quite as far east as you guys are. But, yeah, I just travel back and forth so much. And I even saw Keith David post yesterday that somebody asked him about working in Halo as the Arbiter. And he's like, what was your favorite memory from the Arbiter? And he's like, finally getting to hang out with the other actors at the convention in Atlanta. And I was like, I was at that convention. we were all guests together because he'd never even met Steve Downes in person until that. It's so weird because Steve Downes has always been Master Chief and he's always been the Arbiter, but they'd never actually recorded together. Video games, they tend not to record the actors together. They just edit it together later on. So I've been in some games with some really awesome voice actors, but never actually met them until later on. I think Crispin Freeman and Dave Vanoy are both in XCOM as well as me, and I didn't know that till I read the IMDb page.
Do you not?
All the voice actors.
Do you not update that, or does someone else do that?
The IMDb? No, I don't. I tried to update my own, but I really don't know how it works. I have a resume on there that I did myself, but the actual credit stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure who puts those on there. I've got so many more credits than are actually listed. It's not even funny.
That's funny. I was trying to tell Sebastian, explain, he was familiar with your work, but now, because I've been a fan since, I don't know, you used to do figure reviews as Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I still do those on my second channel. I've just been out of town so much I haven't been able to do it lately. And I'm finally back on a regular schedule, at least for the time being, back on a regular schedule. So if you go to youtube.com/RavageTheInsultComic, spelled exactly the way it sounds, Ravage the Insult Comic, Prime Reviews have moved over there, and I'm actually going to expand. I've actually done one already where I did Primal reviews, and I had Optimus Primal figure. And I'm also going to expand into Cobra Commander reviews and throw some G.I. Joe figure reviews in there as well. And you have to keep in mind, they're not real reviews. They're fake reviews, making fun of how other toy reviewers review toys, but in character, which is always kind of funny to me. It's just a stupid thing that I did one day because my buddies, friends that you guys know, Sean Long and Sharmus Prime, and everybody was like, oh, man, you should do review toys. It's so easy, and people just love it. And I'm like, it's stupid. Anybody can do that. I don't want to do something everybody else is doing. And they were like, well, why don't you do it a different way? And I'm like, I could make fun of other people doing it, I guess. So that's kind of how it spawned. But it was never really what I wanted to do my main channel for. It's just kind of what got views and really easy to edit compared to what I do now. I will take doing toy reviews over doing video game play videos any day because there's so much more editing involved.
Do you ever?
But I just.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I just didn't. I've seen these guys. I actually have a few friends that just do nothing but impression videos. Brizzy Voices and Brock Baker and a lot of these guys are really great. Mikey Bolts, but they just basically do. Here's so many voices from this particular show in so many minutes, or these are all the voices from this show, or these are all the voices from this movie, and they just do a bunch of voices in a row. And it's so standard, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with the way they do it. It's fun because people love them doing it that way. I just don't want to do the same thing everybody else does. I like doing things differently.
Right, and that really sets you apart,
Well, I mean, it doesn't get the views they get, and I'm sure if I did it the way they did it, I would probably get the views because the teenagers tend to love consistency. They're like, it's the same exact group that used to watch Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z. They love the same thing in every single episode. They don't want to see anything different. It's the same thing over and over and over again. I just don't like doing that. I like being different. I like being unique and original, even if it doesn't get the views.
Right. I had a question. I'm sure you get asked to do certain voices a lot, but is there a voice you get asked to do that you not can't nail it, but kind of have trouble doing it?
Well, they keep sending me ADR for Robert De Niro and Kevin Costner and their normal speaking voices, and their normal voices are just so normal. They're almost too normal. The only thing unique about Kevin Costner's voice is he has a tiny bit of a New England accent, and I just can't seem to do anything but my own voice with a little bit of a New England. It just doesn't sound like Kevin Costner to me. And Robert De Niro playing the character he plays when it's an exaggerated version of himself, like in Meet the Parents. That version, yeah, that one's easy to do. Okay, fucker. Let me tell you something. But his normal speaking voice is so normal. It's like, this doesn't even sound like the same dude anymore. Those two are so, and they keep sending them to me over and over again. I'm like, look, I've tried. I just can't do this exact, because I'm a perfectionist. When it comes to voice matching, I'm 100% or not at all. And they're like, just try it anyway. I think you're really close, and I'll do it again. And I'm just like, it doesn't sound right to me, and I can't get it. I can't get it the way you guys want me to get it, but I keep trying anyway because they keep telling me to keep doing it. So maybe one of these days I'll figure out how to do it. But it's like those normal voices that don't have anything, unique or particular or something that my ear can pick out to replicate. Those are the hardest ones to sound like because they're just so normal. Recently, one of the big YouTubers that I've worked with before asked me if I could do Paul Rudd. And I listened to his voice and tried to do it back. I was like, Paul Rudd's just kind of my own voice. It's just Paul Rudd. It's a little bit higher than my voice is, but there's no really unique quality to it. It's just a normal, everyday guy voice.
I remember hearing a story. I was in a Skype call, and you were there, and you were telling. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but someone was asking about doing Batman, the Kevin Conroy Batman, and
yep.
You had said that you had asked him how he did the voice, and
my brother did. My brother met him at a convention and asked him, "How can I sound like you?" And he said, "Smoke like 7 packs of cigarettes a day."
Oh wow!
Can you do a Batman voice, or is that one?
Can't.
No.
I'm vengeance. I'm the night. I am Batman.
See, the funny thing is hearing your normal speaking voice, and then you go in these such low octaves. It's like no way that's the same dude.
I get that a lot. Until people actually hear me, they're doing the voice for real. Like they have no idea. When I did the episode of Grand Theft Smosh with the Smosh Games guys, a lot of people had no idea what I looked like because if they'd only either seen me in the prank videos, and I was only on camera in the Divergent Honest trailer, so nobody else knew, especially not on Smosh Games, they didn't know what I looked like. Mm-hmm. And so when they saw me, they're like, that can't be the guy. There's no way that. So yeah, I get that a lot. Because I mean, who wants to walk around talking like this all day long every day? That would get really annoying.
Right, dude. I really like the epic voice pranks. So the pranks are really funny. Also, on your Facebook page, I noticed you've been doing the YouTube or not YouTube, the Facebook Live. and I've been watching a lot of.
Yeah, that's a new thing for verified Facebook, professional Facebook page users, and it's actually pretty cool. I get more views on that than I get on Periscope or my YouTube channel. With YouTube, I usually only stream. Well, I used to. I got a strike, and I have to wait till November for it to go away. And it's the stupidest thing because it was from a video that I actually worked on. It was for the Community Age of Yahoo trailer, and I did the voice for Ultron, and I did the voice, the announcer voice at the end. And so it's something I actually worked on, but Yahoo got ticked off about it and said you can't put that up. But I don't know if it was it had gotten monetized somehow by accident or what the deal was. It was just because the content ID maybe got selected and I didn't mean to, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so I got a strike for that, so I can't stream on YouTube anymore. So I had to find an alternate. So Facebook streams are a little easier to do, and I like it a little bit better than Periscope actually because I can actually see the comments separate from the video. Whereas with Periscope, the comments are on top of the video. It's kind of hard to see if your camera's in the right place or not.
What I was gonna say, I noticed in a lot of those recent vlogs, I guess you could call them, you did some live action work. Are you allowed to talk about that, or?
Not yet. I don't know when it's gonna come out. One of them is for an ad that I'll play before the Honest trailers, I think. I'm not sure. It's definitely not a TV ad. But I don't know if you watch the Honest trailers this week, you'll notice that the Comedy Central's review show, that trailer has my voice on it. It's basically something like that. But this one's an on-camera. And the other one is for a new kind of thing that's never been done before with YouTube. It's kind of a sitcom, a YouTube sitcom, if that makes any sense. I'm not really sure how to describe it because I really don't know what it is either. Even after they explained it to me, I didn't understand what they were saying. So, yeah, I mean, as soon as it comes out, I will say that it's with the Smosh guys are in it, and, anything they touch turns to gold anyway, so I'm sure it'll be great. But yeah, they basically just called in a bunch of favors to a bunch of buddies and said, "Hey, can you help us out, be an actor in this thing, that thing?" Yeah, it's a totally different world. I'm not envious at all of people who do on-camera work all day, every day, because I could do so many jobs in one day compared to how much work they get done. You could basically do one shoot, and whereas I could do 15 or 20 jobs in the same amount of time. And the pay for mine would probably be much better than I made on camera. Unless I'm, Robert Downey Jr. Then.
Right. Is there anyone who really influences you at all? Well, because you want to be original, but when you were getting into it, is there anyone who was an idol to you or influenced you?
Well, I don't believe in idolatry. I know that sounds stupid to say, but I have to say that up front because people will automatically assume if you say idol that you just worship the ground these guys walk on. But I do have voice actor heroes, the guys that I look up to, and I would love to work with one day. And they were just kind of inspirational more than anything else. So it's not like I have shrines of them in my house, and I pray to them 3 times a day on my mat. But no, Peter Cohn was my original inspiration, and I'd always wanted to meet him, hopefully to get to work with him one day. Unfortunately, through circumstances that did not go very well, I think he's got the idea that I'm after his job. I don't know exactly.
No. That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame because I'm friends with so many of the previous Transformers cast. It's not even funny. And I was even told by David Soboleff did the voice for Shockwave. And I was told that they actually brought me up in the middle of a recording session. And apparently he had stepped out, and somebody brought up the question of what if God forbid something happened to Peter, who would be Optimus Prime? And Steve Blum of all people was like, "What about that John Bailey guy? He does the best Optimus Prime in the country, next to Peter." And like Josh Keaton knew who I was, Tanya Ganati, they were like, "Oh, yeah, I've met John. Oh. John's really awesome." And I was like, "That's just so bizarre that you guys were talking about me in a recording session in a positive way." But I don't want to. I would never want to replace him. If something did happen to him and somebody asked me to, I probably would, just in honor of him. But I wouldn't. If he's still alive and he's still healthy and not retired from it, and they needed me to do it, I would do it. But I would rather work with him than replace him, because who would want to be known as the guy who replaced him? You know what I mean? Because especially if it was tragic, where he had passed away or gotten too sick or hurt himself or he couldn't do it anymore, and people would automatically associate me with something negative that happened to the hero there. You know what I mean? because Optimus Prime is such a dad that so many people across the entire world, and people grew up with him. You know, guys without dads, they looked up to Optimus Prime as a dad, and they emulated those qualities that they assumed a dad would have. You know, so he's a hero to some. He's a father figure to others, inspiration to others like me. So I wouldn't want to be known as the guy who replaced him under bad circumstances. And because that did happen. That happened with the new Powerpuff Girls reboot. They didn't even ask.
Oh yeah, with Tara Strong.
Yeah,
right?
They didn't even ask E.G. and Christina and Tara to come back, and they had the entire rest of the entire cast came back except for the three. And they said it was really bad the way it was done. So I wouldn't want to be those kids, you know. And I know the original three. They say they don't have any hard feelings toward the girls that replaced them. They're really more mad at the network and the way it was handled. And but I wouldn't want to be, you know, because you saw what happened to those kids. Everybody was so mean to those kids at first until Tara actually posted something about, no, we would not hold this against the girls who got the jobs. But they were like, you're not Tara Strong. And I just wouldn't want to go through that. I would feel horrible. But yeah, getting to work with. Go ahead.
But you're so good at it. All right, everybody, we're going to stop for a moment to do some plugs about social media around the web and all the awesomeness at GeekastX for all the awesome news and entertainment around the web. So you can find us on Facebook at GeekastX in the search bar. You can find us on YouTube. Type in GeekastX in the search bar. That's the first place you can find the show before iTunes. And lastly, you can go to iTunes and search GeekastX. And make sure to leave a review to let us know how we're doing or how terrible we are. And also, check out Nerd Overload for more shows and content about all things geek around the web. But you're so good at Optimus Prime. I had not heard of you till today. I hate to say that, but you're so good at Optimus Prime.
A lot of people, I don't expect everybody to know who I am.
I'm sorry, but
it's not like I get recognized everywhere I go. Every once in a while, but it's not all the time kind of thing. So most people they've heard me, but didn't know they heard me. Like they heard me doing somebody else's voice in a trailer, and they heard me doing an actual trailer voice, or they might have seen a video that I did a voice for, or might have.
Right, but that's me today.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say,
yeah, I'd rather work on the same cast with him. And there's a few others as well. Frank Welker, who's like the king of cartoon voices. It would be a real honor to work with him. I actually got the pleasure of meeting him this year because he's finally doing convention appearances, which actually kind of makes me nervous because he's never done them before. And I'm hoping that there's nothing. This is not one of those end of life kind of things where he's finally going to do it.
Oh.
He's either going to retire or he only has a year left, or I don't know. I hope that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah, there's a long list, but I'll hit my top favorites. Rob Paulson, Maurice LaMarche, Phil Lamar, Kevin Michael Richardson, John DiMaggio, Tara Strong, of course, Gray Griffin, also used to be Great a while. Yeah, there's a bunch, and those are the ones that spring to mind. Jim Cummings and Tom Kane's really cool. He's with the same manager as I am, and yeah, I mean that's the top of my list. But there's a lot of other voice actors I would be thrilled to work with. I actually did get to work with Adam MacArthur and Eric Lopez, I think is his last name. He was Blue Beetle in Young Justice, and Adam's Adam's the co-star of Star vs. Forces of Evil, and those two guys and me and three other voice actors got to do some really cool ADR for a live-action movie together at Universal's backlot at an ADR stage, which was really awesome to get to work with other actors. And especially two of them, which I was huge fans of. And that movie will be out. It's a horror movie. It's will be out at Christmas. As soon as the trailer is actually out and where people can see it, I'll let people know what it is. But it looks really, really good. I just wish I could talk about it more.
Oh, really? Sebastian, what was your question?
I was just saying that, you were talking about Optimus Prime. You're so good at it, I don't think people would give you that stigma of being the guy that replaced him. You know what I mean? I think you would fall in sort of a Tom Kane syndrome with Yoda. People accepted Tom. They accept Tom now more as Yoda than Frank Oz as Yoda.
Well, it's been several decades since Frank Oz did it, but you saw the response when Frank Oz came back for Star Wars Rebels. People were just.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But with him and James Earl Jones returning to the cast, and Lando's original, like all these guys are coming back to be guest voices. That's just really, really cool.
That's true. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That speaking of Star Wars, D. Bradley Baker would be another great one I would love to work with because he's an amazing voice actor.
Well, can I ask you about?
He's the king of creating fake languages. And he's actually also does the voice for Perry the Platypus, which just makes noises. He's just really good at sound effects type. He helped make up the language for the box trolls. He helped make up alien languages for video games and for even some fake languages in Star Wars, Clone Wars, back when he did Captain Rex's voice. And thankfully he only did the union stuff because back then I did all his non-union stuff. That's how I got the voices for the toys and the commercials, which is really awesome.
Oh, okay. Sebastian, did you have another question?
Well, you answered it, John. I was going to ask about doing like the clone toy. If you were going more for a D. Bradley Baker sort of voice, but
yeah, no, they actually wanted me to sound exactly like D. Bradley Baker.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say all these questions. I had a whole bunch of questions written down, and you answered all of them, and just I was like, oh, that's awesome. Really quick,
Well, I tend to do these a lot now, so I'm just kind of old hat at doing interviews. So the same questions tend to come up, so I've already got them. I try to get the pre-question stuff out of the way, so that way it'll that way you won't spend an hour just asking other questions I haven't already answered.
Right. Cool.
Anything else?
I had a question early on. What voiceover work are you most proud of?
I think the video game stuff that I've done is I'm most proud of because it's actual voice acting rather than being an announcer or a narrator. It's actually voicing characters in something, and I think video game voice acting is one of the it requires a particular set of skills because you actually have to die 1,000 different ways, and you have to attack 1,000 different ways. You have to get hit 1,000 different ways, and so it's not just to me it's equivalent with the difficulty of being an on-camera actor, because with an on-camera actor you have to be aware of face movement and arm gestures and hand gestures, and you're more aware of what you look like than whereas with voiceover you're more aware of how you sound, or if this is a believable voice for this character, or does this sound like this guy's real. I mean, it's all just pretending. I mean, Liam Neeson said a bit, acting's just pretending to be another person. 100% true. I know that whole thing was a joke, but that's basically true. It's pretending to be another person. So when you're in a video game, I just imagine what it would be like to be that character in that situation. But it's so random. Like, you never know what they're going to throw at you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the director will give you some really bizarre direction, and you have to be able to figure it out, which is why improv is so important. Because he may say, okay, no, do that, but do that more horizontally.
Is it more physical than you expected? How do you make your voice?
Say what?
Is it more physical than you expected?
Well, I mean, I haven't done any of the motion capture type video game stuff. I tend to just do natural movements. They ask you not to move very much because the fabric the noise will be picked up by the microphones. So there's a lot of rules and a lot of things you have to be conscious of and aware of, and when you're recording it. But they call those efforts. Anytime you have to make an impact sound, or you're getting hit, or throwing a punch, or you're being attacked, or you're dying, they call that all those efforts. And efforts they're so much easier for me than doing the actual lines, because usually they don't put any of the lines in context. They have 4 or 5 lines highlighted, and then there's 4 or 5 lines that are highlighted a different color. And unless the director is really on top of it, he forgets to tell you, oh, by the way, now you're not in a quiet room. Now you're in a big hall, and you have to be louder. Or now you're not sticking around anymore. You're just having a casual conversation at a bar. They forget to tell you those things. So we'll be on the whisper lines because we think somebody might have broken into our house. So we're doing all the voices like this, and all of a sudden they go, would you like some more hors d'oeuvres? Like, oh no, you're in a hall now. You're a server, and would you like some more hors d'oeuvres? Like, well, thanks for letting me know. I lose a lot of time in the sessions waiting for them to tell me that things have changed and this is the new scene. This is how it, But once we get to efforts, it's pretty much all the same. It's all bad things are happening. I'm getting hurt. I'm getting hit. I'm dying. I'm getting eaten alive, whatever. So I blow through 130 lines in like 10, 15 minutes.
Cool. Wow. I see. I
cool.
heard
and
that
it's
a
definitely
lot.
It's vocally stressful, but it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a good test of somebody being able to handle being a voice actor or not.
I heard that a lot from the DBZ guys. Like, if you ever see their behind-the-scenes stuff, they're, like, screaming and, like, their faces are turning red and about to pass out all the time.
Oh, yeah, you can see Mark Hamill's the vein in his forehead when he does Joker. He gets that into character, and I told him, and I got to meet him at Comic-Con a few years back, I appreciate what you do, and I said, guys like you are the reason why I became a voice actor professionally. I said, I'm not jealous of your job at all, having to do that. He said, wow, that was really good. I was like, yeah, but you can have it, man. I'd be out of work if I had to do that all the time.
Wow. So is like, is the Top of the Mountain, like, basically, like, doing, like, a cartoon show, like, on network? Is that, like...
Yeah, a network animated series is like, that's the second highest paid job, because especially if you get into season 3, and then you start getting into syndication, and you can make a lot of money with residuals. But the highest paid one is being the voice of a network, like the voice of CBS, the voice of NBC, the voice of TBS. Those guys get like 1 to 3 year contracts, and they can make millions of dollars for them. But they're kind of a slave to the network, and they have to record 1 billion different things a day, and they have to say it 100 different ways. They have to say, this week on TBS, next week on TBS, this Thursday on TBS, tomorrow on TBS, today on TBS. The same exact spot. They just have to record it a dozen more times, because the spot may play for a week before the show comes out. And every day that it gets closer, they have to do a different version of that spot. So, yeah, you really are chained to your studio if you book that kind of job. But you can kind of retire off the money. But the network animated series is it's really more about just, a lifelong dream come true, as opposed to how much money.
All right. Well, that's all my questions.
Do you have any tips for any aspiring voice actors?
Actually, if you go to my playlist, VO 101, on my YouTube channel, there's a ton of free information.
Cool.
It'll answer almost all the questions that you have regarding voiceover, because I talk about the basics, I talk about the hardware, software, a lot of interviews with other voice actors, just tons and tons of stuff, and I don't charge you a dime for it.
Nice.
Do you have like any tips for like helping like someone perfect a certain impression that they're trying to do? Like, is it just like listen to it over and over, or?
Yeah, actually, there's what I would do is I would suggest the same thing that I did, and that's go to Pat Fraley, patfraley.com, Thetfraley. He was the original voice of Krang. He was in the Cowboys of Mesa. He was in Brave Star. He's an incredible voiceover coach. He's been teaching for a long time, and he does this creating characters you can download digitally. You don't have to order. I mean, he used to have cassette tapes, is what I listened to when I was a kid. But he does that. You can download the MP3 now, and I think it may be $20, $50, something like that. It's not a lot of money. And if you want to, you can actually get a workbook, and you can get them sign it or something like that if you ask them for it. But it basically breaks down the parts of a voice to where you can kind of see it in pieces, to where you can see. And a lot of it has to do with music theory. If you had any music theory whatsoever, whether it was singing, playing instruments, whatever, it's almost exactly the same. Jess Arnell brings this up a lot when he talks about how words on the page of a script are exactly like music notes on a page of sheet music. Because when you do a script and he says, "I want to go to the store," it's da 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 da. It's sing-songy. It's all very musically inclined. So he breaks apart, the pitch, the tempo, the placement. So there's like 5 basic parts. But yeah, it's definitely worth the money if you're looking into becoming a voice actor, to be able to break down. And he actually has some free audio clips on there where he has other people do it for you, where he breaks down. He's got a guy on there that does a Barney Fife voice, and he has them break it down into pieces, and one by one, until you see how it gets to where he sounds like Barney Fife. And yeah, it's a really good. I basically memorized those tapes whenever I was like 13. So yeah, that definitely helps me out.
How many voices can you do?
I used to. The reason why my Skype name is the Man of 1,000 Voices is because one day I actually counted up all the different characters I could imitate and all the different actors and politicians and people that I could do, and I got close to almost 1,000. That was back 6 years ago.
Wow.
So 6 years ago, it's been a bit. And now it's I don't even know now. It's got to be over 1,000 because there's so many new actors that they throw at me that I didn't know I could do until I actually did them.
And you said,
I don't have a count. I'm so busy I never had time to count them.
And you said, did you say your favorite was Optimus Prime? Is that your favorite one to do?
Yeah, Optimus Prime and Christopher Walken are two of my. They're pretty equal with favorites because they always people always enjoy them. They're entertaining when I do them. People either get a good laugh or they're like, oh wow, So yeah, I love entertaining people. I love making people smile, making people laugh. So those get the biggest reactions. But there's a ton of them. Like I do Matthew McConaughey that always makes my wife's face turn red. Of course, Matthew McConaughey has two different voices now. Because
Brian's trying to do one of those.
It's just all right. Let's just
I'm trying to do Matthew McConaughey.
Let's just take out the shirt and show off these abs. Say that's the old school Matthew McConaughey. See, now that he's won an Oscar. Then his voice down here, and this is the Oscar voice of the guy. I've been driving Lincoln longer than people think. So when he wants to turn the Oscar on, he goes down to that low part.
Yeah, Brian's been trying to get a Matthew McConaughey voice going. I often do a Christopher Walken. Mine's not nearly as good as you can do. Your voice is like lower, so when you do you can do the lower, Walken, and I can do just like the ow, those kind of things. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I've heard people do different versions of the voice. They do the younger version of Christopher Walken. I prefer doing the older version because it's funny to me. I don't know why, it just makes me laugh. And I've actually convinced a few people that I was Christopher Walken on the phone before. It was really funny. My buddy,
that's awesome.
Lee Tokar is like the Frank Welker from Vancouver. He's on like 14 or 20 different animated series right now. It's insane the amount of work he's doing. And I have a huge amount of respect for him because he's legally blind. And he prints the scripts out in really large print the night before for up to he's worked on up to 9 series at the same time before. He prints out all the scripts, memorizes all his lines the night before, and then goes studio to studio recording them all in sessions the next day. So I mean, the guy's he's a machine.
Wow.
But he has a class that he teaches, like a local class, not an online class, and he has all these college students and these other people of different ages to come learn how to be a voice actor. And for April Fool's Day, he's like, I have a friend on here who wants to talk to you about the acting side of voice acting. It's my buddy Chris, and I was like, hello, thank you, Lee. So great being on your show. So proud to be here. I mean, acting is just pretending to do another person's voice. And I did it I carried it on for like 15 minutes, and I could hear the gasp in the classroom. Like, people were like, what? And he's like, thank you so much, Chris. Like, oh no, call me Chris. Don't call me Christopher. The name's so long. Looks like a train.
That's fantastic. You said you do some politicians. Who are some politicians you?
Well, I started doing politicians back when Clinton was in office. I've done Clinton,
okay,
Al Gore, George W. Bush, George Bush, Barack Obama. Actually, doing Barack Obama's voice got me a big gig on one of those pay-to-play online sites.
Okay.
I was shocked that it was like a $24,000 a year job that I booked off of just being able to do Barack Obama's voice. So you never know. You never know what might end up being a really good paying job for you.
Right. I've heard his voice. Right. I've heard his voice is difficult to do from other voice actors doing interviews. Do you find that the same? That his voice is hard to pick?
Barack Obama?
Yeah.
No, basically you just take a black version of William Shatner, and there you go.
Oh wow! Yeah. Well, I guess that's it.
Wow.
Because I've heard from other actors.
Bare bones right there.
Yeah.
Apparently, he went to the William Shatner School of Speaking.
Yeah.
Because he has those same pauses that Bill does have.
Yes.
Well, I've never noticed that until just now. That's amazing.
Well, that's one of the things with being a voice actor is having a really good ear is so helpful. I never knew being able to listen and hear the different parts of a voice are almost more important than being able to actually, have a great voice or be a great actor. Just being able to hear those pieces, because I noticed that he has those smart S's or those S's. They have a bit of a snaky sound, they had that. And then it's got that, back in the throat thing, and he has that thing he does, and he does a lot of pauses, and put all those pieces together, and you have a good, Barack Obama.
Right? Huh? I never thought of that. So
That's awesome.
I'm still waiting for somebody. It's too late now, but I was still waiting for somebody to make the Mortal Kombat spoof of the last election with Barack Obama versus Johnny McCage. That'd have been a great video.
Yeah.
Fatality.
So are you working on any of the current nominees or candidates or anything for any jobs or potential jobs?
I haven't paid any attention to what's going on at all. But I do look good. Donald Trump get fired. So,
oh yeah.
As long as he's still in the race. I used to. I paid a lot more attention. Now I just don't care anymore.
Understandable.
It's got to where all of them are insane anyway. So what's the point?
Right.
Being able to do their voices, I usually wait until it gets down to the final two.
Right.
Rather than it's too early to tell who the final two are going to be. Once we get to the final two, then I'll start working on it.
There you go.
As far as projects that I can talk about, I'm going to be in the video game Dishonored 2. You'll get to hear me a lot in that game. I'm not the main character, but you'll hear me throughout the game quite a bit. So that one's. I've heard that's a big sequel to a really big game. I hadn't previously. I'm usually on top of it when it comes to games and cartoons. I usually know what's going on, but I hadn't heard of Dishonored before. But apparently, it's a really big game. And I'm also going to be in XCOM 2. I get to do a few extra voices in XCOM 2. I was the voice of the council and the final boss in XCOM, the first XCOM game. And my character is returning, and you heard him in the trailer, so you know he's in it. And some other minor characters as well. So XCOM 2 I'm looking forward to, and Dishonored 2 I'm looking forward to. And that horror movie that at the end of the year that I can't talk about yet. Okay. So those are the only big three things. There are some big auditions that I've got that I'm working on, and fingers crossed that I can book those shows, because that would be amazing. Anytime I get a really big animated series, I'm always happy to at least get the chance to try out for it. But to book it would be amazing, because that would put me on the map as something other than epic movie voice of honor trailer, which I'm trying hard not to be typecast.
I think you'd be cool on Star Wars Rebels, to be honest.
Yeah, I know a lot of the cast members too, but I have yet to get any auditions for Star Wars. So when it comes to like TV actors that became voice actors, a lot of them I don't know. I know a lot of guys who are just voice actors. The on-camera guys, I hardly ever see them unless they're guests at a convention or something like that. They definitely don't know who I am. Sometimes I am surprised they do know who I am, and that's really weird for me. I had met Maurice LaMarche, and my agent introduced us because I knew she knew everybody, and I was like, I'm about to meet Mo. And he's like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and I got a picture, and that was pretty much it. And then, like, a month later, I got a Facebook message from him. He was like, holy crap, you're the voice of Honest Trailers? I freaking love those things. I'm a huge fan. I'm like, wait, Maurice LaMarche is a huge fan of me? That's so weird. I get that a lot, too. Like, people that I've been talking to for a while, Josh Keaton, Spectacular Spider-Man. He was Jack in Transformers Prime, and he's also in the new King's Quest game and in the new Lego Justice League movie. And he and I had been talking for a long time. And then he's like, wait, you're the voice of Honest Trailers? My wife and I watch those things all the time. So funny.
Is Josh Keaton Michael Keaton's son? I've always wondered that, just because I have the same.
Keaton's son.
Because I know Michael Keaton. Keaton is a stage name. Yeah.
They just happen to have the same last name.
Do you know Will Friedle?
Yeah, I met him. We don't know each other personally, but we met.
Cool.
I think he was. I didn't know he was going to be there, but he was at WonderCon, and I knew he was with our agency because I saw my agent had done a birthday video for one of her friends, and Will was nice enough to say happy birthday. Apparently, she or he was a huge fan of Boy Meets World, so he did it real quick. Hey, it's Will, and happy birthday, blah blah blah. And it was he just seems like a really cool, down to earth person. And
Cool.
when I ran into him, I was like, "Oh, well, what's up, man?" And I said, I'm with Pat Brady over at CFC. He's like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome, dude." I said, "Do you have 2 seconds to do a real short video?" And he's like, "Yeah, what are we doing?" I was like, "It's just Transformers, just we'll just improvise." And then I did Optimus Prime for him because I knew he was Bumblebee in Transformers Robots in Disguise.
Oh, cool.
He had no idea that I could do Optimus Prime so well, and I was like, "Bumblebee, transform, and roll out." And he's like, I was like, "What's wrong, Captain?" He's like, "I don't know what to say, Optimus." I was like, "I hate that you sell more toys than I do." And he just laughed so hard. He's like, "Dude, that was so good." And after I turned the camera off, he's like, "Dude, I'm definitely going to be seeing you around, man. That was awesome." I said, "Just don't tell Peter. Just don't tell Peter that I do it really good."
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes when I do hear Optimus Prime on TV or something, or like on, because my nephew watches Transformers, like, is that John?
Yeah.
I always wonder.
No, so far Peter does all his own work. There was one instance where I may have had to fill in for him, and I ended up not having to when he recorded for Fall of Cybertron, not War for Cybertron, but the second one. Apparently, he was recording Transformers Prime, the video game, and Fall of Cybertron at the same time. And apparently, he got sick or just couldn't do whatever. I don't know. They were very nervous that he wasn't going to be able to finish for Fall of Cybertron. So they said, "You may have to fill in for him if that's cool with you, but you wouldn't be credited. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "That'd be like the ultimate compliment. Nobody would even know that it was him, that it wasn't him."
Like ghostwriting.
Right.
But it worked out where he got
That's
he recovered and everything was fine. But just to be asked was really awesome. That was an honor.
Yeah.
I did fill in for him one time. I did his scratch read for the Transformers 4 trailers. And obviously they went back and got him to do it himself. But just to fill in, just to be his place card holder was awesome.
how cool is it to know that you are the only man that they know to go to for Optimus Prime besides
You're not the only man.
Optimus
You haven't heard Steve Bloom do it. I thought there might be one voice that I could do that Steve Bloom couldn't do. And when he did Optimus Prime, I was like, crap, he says everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his Optimus Prime voice is really amazing. But he's just one of those guys. And, Steve sounds like he's a smoker, but he's not. He just has
Really?
a naturally really good voice.
Just a
Yeah, I
raspy
just
voice.
assumed he was a smoker because his voice has that raspy, low sound. But it's just that low and that awesome. And he can literally fill in for any age gap. I've heard him do Elmo, and I've heard him do Optimus Prime, so there's, no voices that he can't do, apparently.
Now, since you can do Optimus, can you do Eeyore too?
Yes, I can. Not that any this anyway.
That's great. Have you ever had to do that for anything? Or?
Yeah, I actually did Depressed Donkey for Fox ADHD. They did a Winnie the Pooh's booth. And I did Winnie the Pooh's voice. He was Honey the Bear in that version. Honey the Bear, and I don't think they gave Tigger a name, which I don't do as good a Tigger as I do Winnie the Pooh. But I did Winnie and Eeyore for that short, which is really funny. It's a really dark short. Apparently, Eeyore broke his leg he fell in a ditch, and apparently he has to be put down, and he's telling them to kill him because he has to be put down. It's just so dark.
That's not, see, dark humor sounds like right up my alley.
Yeah,
I like
Fox
that kind of
ADHD stuff is hilarious.
Oh, cool.
All right. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, dude.
Awesome. I guess that's all. Catch you next time, geeks.
See you, geeks.
Later, geek.
All right.
All right.